You ever heard the saying, "A man who needs nothing is feared by the world"? Being alone for a while will teach you what it means. But first, we need to answer the question for this video. Why is it that the longer a man stays single, the more focused, grounded, and standard he becomes? Let's start with a quick contrast. There are two types of men that exist. One is the man addicted to comfort and relationships. This man always needs to be in a relationship to feel validated, and when he is single, he spends his time chasing after women or simply wasting away in loneliness. You know this type of guy. He's always on dating apps, always talking about how he's going to get a girlfriend, and always complaining about being single. Then there's another type of man. This man is completely comfortable with being alone. This is the type of man who can spend years developing his life without a woman and still be happy. When he does find a woman, it's because she adds value to his life, not because he feels like he needs someone to complete him. This is why the second man is dangerous. He doesn't need anyone. He is complete and whole by himself, and this makes him very powerful. In fact, in Stoicism, solitude isn't loneliness, it's transformation. The longer a man is alone, the more he refines his values, his strength, and his vision. He becomes unshakable. So let's look at 3 reasons why being single makes a man dangerous. No. 1. He no longer seeks approval. There's a quote from Epictetus that reads, "He who seeks approval is a slave to every opinion but his own." Most people, whether they admit it or not, crave one thing above all else, and that's approval. They need other people to like them and validate their actions. This is especially true when it comes to relationships. Many men will get into relationships just because they don't want to be alone. They'd rather have someone there who may not even love them than be on their own. But the truly powerful man is the one who doesn't need anyone's approval. He doesn't need anyone to validate his actions or his worth. He knows who he is, and he doesn't need anyone else to tell him who he is. The single man has had the time and space to really get to know himself. He's been able to sit with himself in solitude and really understand what he wants out of life and what he stands for. He's been able to develop his own internal locus of control, and this makes him extremely powerful. He's not swayed by other people's opinions. He's not afraid to go against the grain. He's not afraid to be himself, even if that means being alone. Society wants you to think that being alone is bad, but it's not. Being alone can be good. It can make you stronger. It can make you more focused. It can make you more resilient. It can make you more creative. It can make you more productive. Being alone can help you become the best version of yourself. But the problem is that most people don't know how to be alone. They get too comfortable. They seek out distractions. They try to fill the void with material possessions or meaningless relationships. But the truly powerful man uses his solitude to his advantage. He uses it to become the best version of himself. Now, this might mean that he's seen as a little weird or strange by other people, but he doesn't care. He's too busy trying to become his best self to worry about what other people think. And this is why he's dangerous. He's not afraid to be himself, no matter what other people think. And this makes him unpredictable. You never know what he's going to do next, because he's not limited by what other people think. 2. He sharpens his purpose relentlessly. When a man is single, his time belongs to his mission. This might sound like a hard truth, but it's the reality. If you're not willing to devote your entire existence to your mission, then you don't deserve to have a woman by your side. Women want men who are driven, focused, and dedicated to their mission. They don't want men who are distracted or sidetracked by meaningless pursuits. This is why the single man is so dangerous. He is not distracted by anything other than his mission, and this makes him unstoppable. A man who is constantly distracted by things such as social media, meaningless entertainment, or meaningless relationships is not a man who is focused on his mission. He is a man who is focused on everything other than his mission. And this is why he will never accomplish his goals. He is simply too distracted. Now, this doesn't mean that you should never take a break and enjoy your life. Of course, that's important as well. But you need to be able to balance your desire for fun and enjoyment with your dedication to your mission. Otherwise, you will never accomplish anything. The truly focused man understands this, and he lives his life accordingly. He is constantly striving to improve himself and accomplish his goals. And this is what makes him so dangerous. He is constantly improving and evolving, and this makes him an unstoppable force. Now, let's move on to our third point. No. 3. He masters his emotions. Single men are often viewed as being more emotional because they don't have a partner to share their feelings with. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. Single men are actually more in touch with their emotions than most people realize. They understand that they are responsible for their own happiness, and they take steps to ensure that they live a life that is meaningful to them. Single men are not afraid to show emotion. They cry when they are sad, laugh when they are happy, and get angry when they are upset. They don't hide their emotions or try to bottle them up. They understand that emotions are a normal and necessary part of the human experience. Single men are also more in control of their emotions than most people realize. They understand that emotions are fleeting, and that it is up to them to choose how they respond to them. They don't let their emotions control them. Instead, they take a step back and assess the situation before responding. This allows them to avoid making rash decisions or saying things they don't mean. Single men are more likely to be stoic. They understand that the only way to live a good life is to accept the things that they cannot change, to change the things that they can, and to have the wisdom to know the difference. They understand that the key to happiness is not in avoiding pain or suffering, but in accepting it and learning from it. In conclusion, there are many benefits to being single. It allows you to focus on your mission, be more in control of your emotions, and seek approval from within. While there may be some challenges that come with being single, the benefits far outweigh the challenges. If you are single, then use this time to your advantage. Focus on your mission, be in control of your emotions, and seek approval from within. You never know where this journey might take you. So remember, brothers, the world may fear the man who is alone, but it is the single man who truly possesses the power to shape his own destiny. Embrace your solitude, hone your skills, and become the best version of yourself. The world will soon enough witness the rise of the lone wolf. And with that said, you guys are awesome. And until next time, thanks for watching. My boy, do not misunderstand it. This world was not built for the lone wolf. You will constantly feel pressure to conform, to settle down, to play by the rules that society sets for you. But understand this, the longer you remain single, the more dangerous you become. And no, I don't mean dangerous in the sense of becoming a criminal or a person full of rage and hate. No, my young brother, you become dangerous to the system, dangerous to those who wish to control you, because you start to see through their tricks. You start to realize that you are being manipulated. The first sign that a man is becoming dangerous is when he becomes immune to manipulation. Now, you might think, oh, I'm already immune to manipulation. They can't get to me. My boy, if you truly were, you wouldn't even be watching this video. You would have left the screen long ago, back to your routine of meaningless scrolling. You must admit that sometimes these voices of reason are the ones that are drowned out. In the modern era, men have become soft, impressionable, and bizarrely swayed by the voice of social media, of the flickering screens that dictate what they should feel. You must recognize the puppeteers, the architects of society that pull strings from behind the curtain, trying to shape your every move, your feelings, your thoughts. These architects of society are masters at disguise, adept at weaving narratives that seem like your own. They use guilt, shame, and fear as weapons, while seduction, convenience, and appeasement are their shields. But the longer you stay away from their grasp, the more you tune out the noise. You start to see their tricks, the manipulation. You might be thinking, I can spot manipulation a mile away now. I'm not that easy to fool. But here's the test. True immunity is when you don't even bother to explain yourself when you say no. How many times have you found yourself trapped in a corner, forced to articulate every reason, every justification for your refusal? I'm not interested, you say, but you find yourself trapped in an endless explanation, a labyrinth of justifications. My boy, that is not immunity. That is still a form of engagement, still a dance with the puppeteers. True immunity is when you say no without an explanation, when your silence is deafening, when your withdrawal is absolute. It takes practice to master the art of non-engagement, to be able to say no without a word, to walk away without a backward glance. It takes courage and resolve, but the longer you practice, the easier it becomes. And when you reach that point, you become dangerous, extremely dangerous. This skill alone makes you a threat to the status quo, to the architects of society who depend on your compliance. You may think that's all well and good, but I'm just one person. What difference can I really make? Ah, my son, you underestimate the power of one. One wave is all it takes to disrupt the placid surface of a vast ocean. One candle is enough to pierce the darkest of nights. And remember, the longest journey begins with a single step. With each no you utter, each boundary you set, you chip away at the foundations of their control. With each silent withdrawal, you send tremors through their carefully constructed edifice. Your solitude becomes a shield, protecting you from their manipulative grasp, but also a weapon, chipping away at the very foundations of their control. And as you continue to hone this skill, you develop another, a quality that makes you even more dangerous: ruthless clarity. With your immunity to manipulation comes a ruthless clarity of purpose. You see the world as it is, devoid of the illusions and deceptions that clouded your vision before. You know exactly who you are, what you want, and what you will no longer tolerate. There is no confusion, no people-pleasing, no half-hearted commitments. Your life is a fortress built on solid ground, forged in the fires of solitude. Your goals are clear, your actions are decisive. You live with integrity, consistency, and purpose. You are a force to be reckoned with. Think of a ship at sea, tossed and turned by the winds and waves of other people's opinions. Now imagine that same ship anchored to the shore, steady and unwavering in the face of any storm. That is the difference between a man living in the matrix of modern dating and a man who has stepped out of it. To be sure, there will always be storms, always be opinions and manipulations thrown your way, but your anchor keeps you grounded, and the clearer your purpose, the stronger your anchor becomes. Now listen closely. As you become more resolute, as your clarity of purpose intensifies, so does your danger to the system. You see, the modern world thrives on confusion, on half-heartedness, on people who take one step forward and two steps back. You, however, are a man of few words, of solid actions. You are a puzzle with only a few pieces, and those pieces fit together perfectly. And let me tell you a secret. The most dangerous man in the world is not the one with everything, but the one who needs nothing. The man who feels he lacks nothing, fears nothing. He is the one who can truly be himself, who can make his own decisions based on his own judgment. He is the one who cannot be manipulated, the one who does not need validation from anyone. He is the one who can stand alone in the face of the whole world and still be unshakable. When a man is truly alone, he finds strength in his solitude. He becomes resourceful, self-reliant, and fiercely independent. He learns to rely on himself and himself alone. This is not a state of constant misery or despair. No, my son, this is a state of power, of freedom, of authenticity. It is in solitude that he discovers his true self, free from the expectations and manipulations of others. This realization is the second sign that a man is becoming dangerous. He develops a relentless focus on self-improvement. When a man is alone, he has no one else to blame when things don't go right. He must look inwards, introspect, and improve. Solitude becomes the crucible in which he tests and refines himself. Alone with his thoughts, he faces his weaknesses, his flaws, and his fears. Without the crutch of others' approval, he must rely on his own self-assessment, his own self. It is a hard and lonely path, but the rewards are immeasurable. Such a man is forging himself into a weapon of unmatched sharpness and effectiveness. And let us not forget the third and final sign. He becomes master of his time. Time is the most valuable asset a man can have. It is the raw material from which all achievements are made, and he who controls time controls everything. A man who has spent significant time alone understands this. He values his time too much to waste it on meaningless pursuits or relationships. He understands that every moment is a stepping stone, a building block in the construction of his life. This understanding brings a laser-like focus. He channels his energy into self-improvement, honing his skills, expanding his knowledge, working on his craft. He becomes unstoppable in his chosen field, a veritable powerhouse of productivity and success. And yet, despite his drive, his ambition, he remains calm, centered, and serene. He is no longer afraid of being alone because he realizes that solitude is not the absence of company, but the presence of self. And in that presence, he finds strength, clarity, and peace. In Seneca's words, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. The man who is truly alone, who has spent considerable time in solitude, is dangerous because he needs nothing. He is not afraid of being alone. He has mastered solitude, and thus he has mastered himself. Remember, my son, the longest journey starts with a single step. You don't need to climb to the top of the mountain in one go. Be patient. Take your time. Every day is a new opportunity to say no without explanation, to choose solitude over manipulation, and to use that solitude to improve yourself. Do why? realize why the longer a man goes without a woman, the more dangerous he becomes. Most men will never understand this because they are so busy chasing women that they don't have time to develop themselves. Instead, they become like little boys chasing after skirts, wasting their potential and living lives of mediocrity. The truth is, there's a special power in being single. It's a power that has been overlooked and underestimated for far too long. But it's time for that to change. So listen up and pay attention, because what I'm about to tell you could very well be the most important advice you'll ever receive. It's me. Welcome to my channel. Let's get right into it. In today's society, there's an insane amount of pressure on men to be in a relationship. If you're single, you're often looked down upon and seen as an outcast. There are countless articles telling you why you need a girlfriend and how being single is bad for your health. You're constantly being bombarded with messages telling you to get a life partner, but no one ever tells you why it's worth it to go through all the hard work required to build a strong and healthy relationship. The truth is, relationships aren't easy. They take work, dedication, and commitment. And that's why so many people fail at them. It takes a strong and disciplined person to maintain a healthy relationship, because you have to be willing to put someone else's needs before your own. You must be able to communicate effectively, manage your emotions, and control your ego. These are not things that everyone is capable of doing. That's why the longer a man goes without a woman, the more dangerous he becomes, because it's during those times of solitude that he has the opportunity to focus on himself and his own growth. He can work on becoming the best version of himself possible without the distractions and complications of a relationship. This is the true meaning of being a Stoic man. You see, being a Stoic man doesn't mean being emotionless or cold. It simply means being in control of your emotions and not letting them control you. It means being able to think clearly and make rational decisions, even in the toughest of situations. The single man who embraces solitude is sharpening himself for the day. When he decides to enter into a relationship, he knows that when he does, it will require everything he has to offer. He can't afford to be distracted by anything or anyone. That's why he works tirelessly on himself, honing his skills and becoming the best he can be. Let me tell you a story about a samurai named Miyamoto. He was a legendary swordsman who lived in Japan during the 16th century. Musashi was said to have fought over 60 duels and never lost a single one. He was a master of strategy and tactics, and his swordsmanship was unmatched. But what really set Musashi apart from other warriors was his ability to remain calm and focused in the face of adversity. No matter how dangerous the situation became, Musashi was always able to keep his cool and think clearly. He knew that the key to victory was to stay calm and focused and not let his emotions get the better of him. One day, Musashi found himself in a deadly duel against an opponent who was much larger and stronger than he was. As the fight raged on, Musashi began to feel exhausted and overwhelmed. But he knew that if he gave in to his emotions and panicked, he would be defeated. So he took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. Despite the size difference, Musashi was able to use his superior skills and strategy to defeat his opponent. Musashi's ability to remain calm and focused in the face of adversity is a perfect example of the Stoic philosophy. He understood that the key to success was to be in control of himself and not let his emotions control him. He knew that fear, anger, and other negative emotions could cloud his judgment and lead to his downfall. So he worked tirelessly to master his emotions and turn them into strengths. You see, the same is true in our everyday lives. We all face situations that test our strength, courage, and resilience. It can be easy to succumb to the negative emotions that arise in these moments, but doing so can lead to poor decisions and ultimately our downfall. Instead, we must learn from the example of Musashi and other great Stoics who came before us and strive to master our emotions and turn them into strengths. When we do so, we become more resilient, focused, and successful in all areas of our lives. The Stoics believed that the key to happiness and fulfillment lay in living a life of virtue and doing one's duty. They also believed that emotions should be controlled and used wisely, not suppressed or indulged in. By practicing Stoic principles, we can become more resilient in the face of adversity and better equipped to handle the challenges that life throws our way. So remember, brothers, the longer a man goes without a woman, the more dangerous he becomes. Use this time wisely to work on yourself and become the best version of yourself possible. Don't waste it away chasing skirts or indulging in meaningless pursuits. Instead, focus on developing your skills, knowledge, and character. When you do decide to enter into a relationship, you'll be ready for it. You'll know what you want and what you're worth. You won't be afraid to communicate your needs and boundaries, and you'll be willing to put in the hard work required to make it last. By the way, since we're talking about being single, I want to address something here. Some of you might be thinking, but being single isn't a choice. Sometimes we can't find a relationship because of our circumstances or because there aren't many suitable partners available. And that's perfectly fine. But even in those situations, we can still choose how we respond. We can choose to make the best of what we have or complain and feel sorry for ourselves. The choice is ours. Even if you're going through a difficult period in your life and feel like you'll never find a relationship, don't lose hope. Keep working on yourself and trust that things will eventually get better. The Stoics believe that everything happens for a reason and that we should accept whatever comes our way with grace and dignity. So no matter what your current situation may be, remember that it's not the end of the world. Keep moving forward and don't give up on yourself. This next point is going to be a bit uncomfortable, but it's important to hear. You see, being single isn't just about not having a girlfriend or a wife. It's also about being free from the distractions and attachments that can hold us back. When we're in a relationship, it can be easy to become complacent and comfortable. We might start to rely on our partner for happiness or validation instead of finding it within ourselves. We might become attached to certain outcomes or possessions and let them dictate our actions. But when we're single, we have the opportunity to break free from these attachments and start fresh. We can set new goals and pursue new opportunities without the weight of others' expectations holding us down. The key is to use this freedom wisely and not waste it on meaningless pursuits. Instead, use this time to explore new hobbies, meet new people, and try new things. You never know what opportunities might come your way when you least expect them. Being single also gives us the chance to heal and grow from our past experiences. If you've been hurt in previous relationships, use this time to heal and learn from the experience. Reflect on what went wrong and what you could do differently next time. This isn't about blaming yourself or feeling sorry for yourself. It's about taking responsibility for your actions and learning how to become a better partner in the future. The Stoics believe that everything happens for a reason, and that we should accept whatever comes our way with grace and dignity. So no matter what your current situation may be, remember that it's not the end of the world. Keep moving forward and don't give up on yourself. The bottom line is that being single can be a blessing in disguise. Sure, it might not feel like it at first, but the longer you go without a relationship, the more time you have to work on yourself and become the best version of yourself possible. You become more dangerous, not in a physical sense, but in the sense that you become more effective at what you do. You become more disciplined, more focused, and more resilient. You become a force to be reckoned with. Don't waste this gift. Use it wisely. Become the Stoic man you were meant to be. A lion who walks alone is still more feared than a sheep in a crowd. If you're building your discipline in solitude, smash the like button, share this video and comment below. Solitude sharpens me. And as always, brothers, stay grounded, stay sovereign, stay stoic.